Hello, and welcome to Fiction Fans, a podcast where we read books and other words too. I'm Lily.
And I'm Sarah, and I am so pleased that for our 69th episode, we have Dan Fitzgerald, author of lots of things. Too many things for me to list them off. Dan, you can do that yourself. But we have Dan on to talk about some monster fucking.
Well, it's an honor to be here to talk about monster fucking with you. And I haven't written any yet. I've certainly read a few things. And now that I've met you guys and you introduced me to some extra ones, I feel like my journey is well underway. So thank you.
It's only a matter of time.
Oh, no, I have ideas.
Before we get to the fun parts, what's something great that happened recently? Yay!
I went to New York to visit a friend for her birthday. She doesn't live in New York, but we met in New York. And that was a lot of fun. I had a great time seeing her. I haven't seen her since pre-pandemic. I did come home with a cold, not COVID. That was less fun. But the trip in general was great.
Well, I'm glad that you're enjoying the world being open again and making the most of it.
I mean, I am still masking, et cetera, and taking precautions. But
yeah, but you can mask on a plane.
You can mask on a plane.
That's called compromise. Dan, how about you?
We got together with a colleague from work and his boyfriend, went out and had drinks and left the kids at home. And we returned and they survived. And it was nice to meet and hang out with new people. So that was great.
Also making the most of the world being open again.
Yes. And especially since this restaurant has a big outdoor seating area. And it was like a beautiful night. It was like 70 degrees or something. It was crazy.
Oh, wait. Recently it was 70 degrees?
Yeah, like last weekend.
It was like 70 in New York, too. Like, it was really warm.
It hasn't gotten above 35 here.
It was warmer in New York than it was in California.
Gross.
That weekend.
Oh, well, my good thing is that I went out and bought a bunch of sweaters. I'm not even joking. That was my good thing. And it fits with my big pouty complaint.
Were any of them Christmas sweaters?
No, not specifically. This one's kind of got gold shine in it, though, which makes it kind of Christmassy.
Okay.
You can't tell at all, but it does. Trust me. I went thrifting and I got like 8 sweaters for less than $100. So I'm happy.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm. And now I can wear warm, cozy things when it's 30 degrees outside. What the fuck?
That's rude.
It's very rude.
It is like November, late November.
That's actually a pretty good point.
Yeah, but if it's 70 somewhere, it should be 70 where I am.
Okay, but I'm just saying it's less rude for it to be 30 degrees in late November than it would for it to be 30 degrees in, say, July, at least on the West Coast.
Fine. Yes, you're right. Well, since I have to be reasonable, what's everyone drinking this evening?
Drinking this Trader Joe's bourbon cream liqueur, which is absolutely delightful, but it's pretty much just a dessert in and of itself. It's wonderful.
It kind of sounds like melted ice cream. I mean, it kind of looks like melted ice cream.
Exactly.
I was gonna say if you froze it and made ice cream out of it, that I think would be very good. As a liquid, I don't think it's something I would want to drink, but I would eat the ice cream.
I would drink it. Trader Joe's, you say?
Yep. Comes in a big fancy bottle.
That's how I like my booze. That's a lie. I like my booze in a box, which is what I'm drinking. Pinot Grigio. Out of a mug, so that my last meeting of the day could not tell I was drinking Pinot Grigio.
That's how you do it.
They also couldn't tell because they were too drunk for the Pinot Grigio they were drinking.
Probably.
I have a medicinal dram of whiskey, but mostly I'm drinking water.
Any kind of whiskey in particular?
This is an Aberfeldy that I bought from Costco. So it's a nice, like, everyday dram. It's not particularly special. It's not peated. Just a solid dram.
Medicinal dram.
Medicinal dram, yes. Because whiskey is obviously, very medicinal.
Indeed. As is smut.
Yes.
It heals the soul. I have realized that although I insist I am not a mood reader, I absolutely am a mood reader when it comes to smut.
I mean, you're absolutely a mood reader when it comes to fan fiction.
That's what I mean. That's the same thing. And not whether I'm reading, well, partially if I'm reading it or not, but also like I'm in the mood for this kind of trope right now. I seek something out. Whereas in my head, mood readers are, I'm not going to read this because it's not what I want, which is absolutely what I do with fan fiction, but not with real books. I'm just a huge hypocrite. Anyone read anything good lately?
I recently read Radiance by Grace Draven, this fantasy romance with arranged marriage and the kind of Beauty and the Beast thing, where they're different species, one of which is a predator, actually. We discover that they predated on humans once upon a time, so you could call it monster fucking. But anyway, they're both hideous to each other. And then, of course, eventually that things change and there's assassination attempts and whatnot. Anyway, it's fantastic. It's gorgeous, really great world building and a lot of fun.
Awesome. I do love me some Beauty and the Beast trope. Sarah, have you been reading or just gallivanting about New York?
I read a lot of fan fiction while I was ill because I took a couple of days off of work to read a lot of Harry Potter, Tom Riddle fan fiction, which somehow I don't like Harry Potter, but somehow that's like my fan fiction genre of choice. It's really weird. I don't get it either.
You're allowed to like what you like.
I mean, I think it would make more sense if I actually liked the source material, but so I read a lot of that, and I watched the last season of Wellington Paranormal, but I haven't read a lot of print books.
Well, all right. You know what we have read recently? I don't know the title of it. I just jumped right into the book. What is the name of this book that I read?
I believe it's Carnal Cryptids, East Coast.
Yeah.
By
Vera Valentine.
Yes. And this is the part where we should give content warnings.
Content warnings for a monster fucking episode.
I mean, just in case. We have said that it's monster fucking, but there will be a lot of talk about monsters and fucking.
Beyond just explicit sexual content, there is also going to be discussion of consent and lack thereof, and probably a lot more fuck words and
Nodding.
Yes,
So
and
much
nodding.
And no spoiler warnings. This is the spoiler warning. I'm sorry, Ms. Valentine. Your book is very good. I don't know how to talk about it without just talking about it. So, look, if you enjoyed the episode, just read it. We're not going to ruin the sex scenes for you, so it's still worth reading.
The book does have a plot, but like
It does.
You read monster fucking as much for the monster fucking as you do for the plot. So
the plot is a beautiful adornment that you enjoy.
Yes.
But knowing how it ends is not going to ruin, I don't think, at least in this case, would not ruin it for you.
Agreed.
Yes. This is actually interesting. I was talking with some folks on Twitter about whether a happily ever after is expected in erotica. And I wonder if we might touch on that because I don't know. I haven't read a lot of it.
Well, here's an interesting point. In fan fiction, no. I guess I mix up erotica and fan fiction in my definitions because 99% of the fan fiction I read is erotica. But there's all sorts of angst with a happy ending or angst. Those are two different fan fiction genres, and I really appreciate that distinction.
Yeah, I don't actually read a lot of erotica outside of fan fiction. Like most of my smut reading is fan fiction. And so I don't know what the genre conventions are for a novel like this, something that's published not as a fan work.
Yeah, I would tend to think it trends a bit romantic in the sense that you kind of expect at least an HFN, but some people were like, no, if it's called erotica, it can go either way. But I think more people answered the question that yes, it should have some form of happy ending. But I don't know. I'm new to this, so
yeah.
Well, I think short form fiction can get away with being sadder because you're not spending as much time invested in what's happening. So the sad ending doesn't hit as bad.
I don't know. I mean, I've read some really long fanfic. Again, coming back to fan fiction, I've read some really long, very corny fan fiction that doesn't have a happy ending. I feel like with erotica, I wouldn't necessarily expect it to be, because the point is the sex.
The sexual journey or whatever.
Yeah, and not necessarily the romantic relationship. So I wouldn't necessarily expect a happy ending to be inherent to the genre. I mean, I prefer a happy ending because I like happy endings, but
maybe if it has a strong romantic storyline, you would more expect it to be happy. Whereas if it's more about the sex and less about the romance, it wouldn't matter. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's not a requirement for the genre, but I would absolutely expect to know ahead of time. I would want to know ahead of time if it's not going to have a happy ending. Like, I would want that to be in, a tag or content tag somewhere. Just so that if I'm going to invest that much time in a story, I want to know if I'm going to be feeling bad afterwards.
I mean, I want to know that for all stories, not just erotica.
Right. And so I'm saying if there's no tag at all, I assume happy ending. And so I would say maybe that is the default then. It's not a requirement, but maybe it is the default.
Yeah, I could see that.
And I guess for traditionally published works or self-published works, the cover would do part of the job of telling you whether to expect a happy ending or not, I think.
Yeah. It's hard for me to talk about genre conventions with a straight face. Someone recently told me that the genre conventions of erotica is for it to be not good. And I was like, I don't think that's how it works.
What?
The genre conventions of humanity are to be not like you.
I was like, yeah, there's a lot of shitty work out there, but I don't know if that makes it a genre convention.
Wow.
How do you define a convention? Most of it does this?
Yeah.
That feels bad. I don't know.
And I'm sitting here currently editing or in the early editing stages of a book that kind of borders on the space between fantasy and romance and erotica. And sometimes it veers a little bit farther into one or the other. And I'm feeling all kinds of ways about it. But I definitely think saying that it's automatically not good is maybe not the best take.
No, not automatically, but that you're defying genre conventions by making it good.
I mean, that's a wild take.
It was pretty wild.
Where did you see this take?
A friend who will remain unnamed has been doing research and was like, I've decided that there's not going to be any sex scenes because I write too well to have sex scenes.
She did not.
Oh, no.
Oh, wow. That was really great.
I think there is this confusion between, maybe not confusion, but what does a genre convention even mean? Like, what do most works within that genre do? Or what does a work have to hit in order to be included in that genre? Those are two different things.
I think it's also partly due to the stereotype that romance and erotica is easy to write and you can just bang it out and make a bunch of money and quality doesn't matter. And that's not actually true. Like it takes skill.
Now you say that, but one of the pieces that you guys read that I did not for today, because I'm a trash person.
I'm not saying that every single erotica book or work is good, but
it's true though. If you search like how to make money doing erotica, they tell you write one story and then you find and replace the pronouns. And then you just republish the same thing over and over and over again for $5 on Amazon, and then you make $1 million. And I'm not sure if that's real. That sounds like a get-rich-quick scheme to me.
$8 for a 43-page book.
Yeah, that was some bullshit right there.
So, yeah, one of the pieces that we planned on discussing tonight, that we're going to discuss tonight, whether or not I read it,
yeah,
irrelevant,
sure,
was a short story collection that the same thing happens over and over again. I have a burning question. I need you to tell me. Are the love interests' hair color different in each story? Is that what changed?
I don't actually remember. I think that they're not the same in every story, but I don't think that it's different in every story either.
I think it's meant to actually be the same cryptid, right?
It is the same cryptid, yeah. But it's for the heroine. Right. Because this is basically a werewolf fantasy where there's like a werewolf who's got a really big, dick, and he knots everyone who comes into his forest. And we get that story 4 times.
And it's a bunch of co-eds, right? I think that's what made me assume it was different hair colors, because I was like, oh yeah, the first story is a blonde and then the second story is a brunette.
the first 2 are co-eds.
I thought you were talking about the werewolf's hair color.
Yeah, he got a dye job in between the first and second short story. Got a little werewolf mohawk.
Sorry.
He was ashamed of his behavior, having sex with this poor co-ed in front of all of her other sorority members. And so he had to change his hair.
This one definitely fits into the PWP category with no question about it. Unlike the other book, which actually had a plot, which was kind of interesting, this one was just like nothing but nodding. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Yeah, it was very heavy on the porn and less heavy on the plot.
To clarify, we gave a book title earlier. That's not what we're talking about right now.
This is not Carnal Cryptids. This is a different book.
This is Dogman, the Alpha's Not Bundle. Or am I not supposed to say it? Yes, right?
Yeah, you can say it. We can say it.
Okay.
We haven't said anything that mean yet, just that it's the same story over and over again.
4 tales of something. 4 tales of rough monster sex.
We just won't tag her in the episode.
I mean, it's exactly what it says on the tin.
No doubt about it.
You know what you're getting into if you open that collection.
I'm a little sad that you didn't read it, Lily, because as you know, I'd read things that were technically monster fucking, but not really like real monster fucking like this. And the fact that, you know, you kind of convinced you to read it, and then we have this book that's all about nodding and you don't read it.
Okay. First of all,
it's fine. It's just ironic and humorous.
It is ironic.
No,
I'm trying to defend myself. And
we
there's
should give Lily
say.
Lots of shit.
Yeah.
We should give her lots of shit for this.
My only defense is that I'll probably still read it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it'll take you a minute. I'm surprised you just, I looked it down and I was like, snack size, dinner size. I'm going to have a snack first. So then I was like, oh, it's all done.
So, Dan, you brought up a little bit earlier that we have had an ongoing discussion and we cannot agree on a definition of what is monster fucking. Is it monsters fucking? That feels like the easiest definition, but also not enough.
In other words, regardless of whom they're fucking or whether they're fucking humans or other monsters, right?
Well, I would argue that that's not the definition. You can't just take the words at face value. There's more to it than that.
Yeah, I think you have to have a human partner in there. Like that's
otherwise it's just fucking.
Yeah.
So if I wrote a book about 2 monsters and they had a lot of sex, it would not be monster fucking, even though it's literally 2 monsters fucking.
I don't think that would qualify as monster fucking.
They would be monsters fucking. That's completely different.
Yes.
Okay.
I think we broke Dan.
I think we did.
Look, I don't make the rules, okay?
Okay, so speaking of rules, so Lily, you had a proposition for how you would define it that I thought was pretty interesting and sparked some good discussion. So remind us of what that was.
Well, I think my definition relies heavily on the monster aspect. I think there has to be some element of danger involved with the non-human partner. Otherwise, it's not monster fucking, it's just non-human fucking. Like, you're not going to read, I don't know, Aragorn Legolas fan fiction and say, yeah, it's monster fucking, he's fucking a non-human. Like, no. Elves don't count, so where's the line?
I also feel like there has to be an element of more like non-human anatomy.
I agree.
Like you can't, monster fucking isn't just fucking a person who happens to turn into a werewolf once a month.
I agree. Yes, good point. The actual anatomy of the love interest matters immensely.
Yeah, which leaves a kind of like gray spot for vampires, I think, because they are monsters and there is often that element of predation, but they're also very human in their anatomy, so I'm not entirely sure that I would qualify them as monster fucking.
I don't.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Unless there's a lot of blood happening. Like, you could make it monster fucking if you tried hard enough.
There are ways to make it monster fucking, but I don't think it's inherently monster fucking.
I agree that they are a gray area, though.
Yeah.
I know of a book coming out that involves blood play and vampires that I guess would qualify by monster fucking according to that definition.
If there's a lot of chomping happening, I could see it.
I don't know. I think you have to do, like, again, anatomy stuff.
I mean, but teeth could be anatomy.
Mm.
And the face.
Ooh, Buffy vampires.
Okay, but let's be clear. When you say anatomy, what we really mean is either their cock has to be different, not just bigger, but like it has to have a special feature, or they have to have another feature that somehow feeds into the sex scenes.
Yeah.
A tail or tentacles or something.
Yeah.
And are the monsters always male?
I don't think they have to be.
I don't think
But I mean, are they usually?
No, well, Okay, you bring up tentacles, so no. But I do think the monster is usually the one penetrating. I don't think that's a necessary definition, but I do think that's a trope of the genre.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
You do not often see monster fucking where the human is penetrating, or not necessarily, at all.
Yeah,
really.
This is what I would love to see, like doming the monster, you know?
Mhm.
Kind of like petite person just taking them to town. Would love that.
I bet you probably could find it if you really wanted to.
I'm sure.
In fan fiction, everything exists.
Yes.
But it's not the majority, right? You'd have to hunt for it.
Yeah.
But no, I definitely think that element of otherness and that element of danger are important.
Okay, so Sarah mentioned predation, and I want to go back to that. So let's say you have like an orc and a human, and the orc is definitely bigger and badder, and they could kill you, but it's not like they're a predator specifically. They're just, they have a little bit more natural weaponry and they're just bigger and stronger. Is that monster fucking? Especially if their cock is so big, it's very difficult to take.
I think that's a gray area again.
I agree. If the prose focuses on the otherness, I would say it pushes more into monster fucking.
Yes.
I think that to me is...
If there's a fear element at first?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Lily, that feeling of otherness is really important to like what makes a monster fucking story a monster fucking story.
And that's why elves will never be monster fucking.
And so that's why Radiance is, because the male love interest is of a race that wants 8 people. So there's a literal aspect of danger and fear, although it's less in the moment because they're two from two civilizations.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she actually fears being eaten by him or whatever, but she definitely fears some form of, violence or rough treatment, I suppose. So does that count?
Yeah, I think that would count.
Okay.
I think so.
I don't know. I mean, I think it would count if the race that the male love interest was from still 8 people.
Right, which they don't. And also, he's such a perfect gentleman. Like the first time they meet, their meet cute is he's just such a little softy that there's all real danger kind of goes away in that meeting. Anyway, you should read it.
There definitely are gray areas. I'm not going to say that there are any hard and fast rules.
And we're also not the arbiters of like what constitutes monster fucking.
No, I am actually.
I'm definitely not.
Everyone voted and decided I am the arbiter of what is monster fucking.
Okay.
So something that we've discussed a little bit in the concept of what makes a monster, and also does show up in the
Carnal cryptids.
Yes, thank you. In Carnal
I keep
Cryptids.
calling it East Coast cryptids.
Is that the subtitle? I think
it's Carnal Cryptids East Coast.
So presumably there's a West Coast and maybe like a Central Plains and Gulf Coast.
We don't really have cryptids. I guess we got Bigfoot.
Yeah, I'm serious. You have literally the most important cryptid on North America. Come on now.
I'm pretty sure that the sequel is going to be some kind of a Slender Man thing.
Well,
because that's what's implied at the end of the book.
Yeah. I thought Slenderman was maybe the least interesting part of this, but anyway, that's another conversation.
It will be. Because what makes a sexy monster? That's a good question. Not Slender Man.
No.
But one of the aspects that we get in this book is the sort of gray area, not of monster fucking. This was definitely a monster fucking book, but the gray area of consent, in that I would say there's not a lot of it. There's a lot of verbal consent, but not real consent.
It's definitely very dubious consent, which, to be fair, the author is very explicit about in a note at the beginning of the book that unfortunately I did not see.
I also did not see.
We all missed it. Yeah.
I was like, damn, this book's got hella dubcon. So I was like, well, actually, technically it says right at the beginning, this book has hella dubcon. But
yeah, so kudos to the author for being explicit about that. I wish that Amazon, when you started a book, it didn't start at chapter 1. It actually started you at like the front page, because then you could see all of the notes and stuff. And I think that that's what happened for all of us. I don't actually know for sure.
Yes, absolutely not the author's fault.
Yeah. But there is a lot of very dubious consent in this book.
Yeah, this is the most dubious consent book I've ever read, I think, because I generally just put them away if it starts to get too far into that category. So it was an interesting experience for sure.
I feel like when an author tags their story as having this element, it completely changes the experience for me, because that is the author saying, hey, yeah, no, don't do this. This isn't great. Do not try this at home. Whereas if those tags are missing, then I'm sitting there going, do they think this is okay?
I agree with you 100%. I prefer, and I don't mind dubcon inherently necessarily, but I prefer to read it when the person or people who are doing the enforcing the dubious consent, perpetrating, are like villains, because then I'm like, oh, obviously I'm not supposed to like root for you guys and like you. I can just ignore that and like focus on the fantasy.
Yeah, bad guys doing bad stuff, whatever.
Yeah, bad guys doing bad stuff. And like that I find more enjoyable than dubious consent, where you're supposed to actually feel for both parties, because you are supposed to sympathize with the perpetrators or the cryptids in this book, who are essentially forcing themselves on the heroine without, or I guess not taking no for an answer.
Right, she consents to sex, but she didn't consent to entrapment and being chained to the bed.
Yeah, exactly.
I have no problem with shitty garbage things in fiction books because they're fiction. And I personally am okay with that. I don't think all porn has to be like realistic.
Oh no, it definitely doesn't have to be realistic. Or good.
And yeah, healthy dynamics is part of the realism, right? Like I don't need to think I want to do that for everything that I read. I'm okay with that personally. And so when you get to dubious consent, or even just straight up non-con, like non-consent in fiction, that is like, okay, yeah, that's not real. And that's something that I don't think is unique. I mean, consensual non-consent is a thing. Like a lot of people are into that fantasy, and a book like this is the fantasy without doing all of the like kink negotiations around it. And there are some stories where they just do show you all of the kink negotiations around it, and that takes me out of the story. I don't like those as much, but I think they're really important to show people like, hey, this is a actual better way of doing this.
Yeah, I would have liked it more if they had just, like, as they start to get a little bit close, been like, you know, by the way, we're monsters and we have all these like special bonus features, like, you want to get in on this action?
Mm-hmm.
Like invite consent and then get actual consent, as opposed to the kind that we got. But their bonus features were a lot of fun.
I know, who would have said no to that anyway? It is fascinating. They insist that they got consent before doing anything, but you're right, Dan. They didn't tell her jack shit.
Right. They got consent to have sex, and then they had sex, and then all of a sudden their demon parts start shooting out, and then she's like, "What the fuck?" And then she's chained to the bed.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's the silent informed before we say consent. People mean informed consent. Just because we don't say that every time doesn't mean we don't mean it.
But as you pointed out, it is fiction and it's a book, and people enjoy reading stuff like this. So
yeah,
that's fine.
And then there's the difference between, hey, I didn't like this personally, versus this shouldn't be written. I have read some shit where I'm like, oh no. Whoever wrote this is probably not really understanding what they're writing about, or maybe that's my generous interpretation, and someone needs to explain to them why this is not okay, which is a very different vibe.
Well, I've also read some stuff that's very, oh no, but it's clear the author knows it's oh no.
Exactly. If they tag it as, my favorite tag, dead dove, do not eat.
Yes.
That's basically the author saying, this is super fucked up. I know it. I want you to know it. Have fun.
Oh, I feel like I've missed out on an entire world, but I enjoy getting glimpses of it through you guys.
And I mean, if you don't like dubcon, you're not going to like Dead Dove Do Not Eat.
No, you will
tell you that right now.
You will not.
But the importance is warning the reader beforehand.
Yeah.
Which the author did.
Yes. Oh my God, if I went into a story thinking it was a rom-com and then got to some like weird vor manipulative shit, I'd be like, holy shit, I'm not ready for this. This is not okay.
3 years ago, I would never have read these books. That's absolutely true.
It's funny how far the Dan that we first met has
Oh my God.
is from the
You don't
Dan
even
that we
know.
know.
You do not even fucking know is all I'm saying. The book I'm editing right now is just like bonkers. But hey, it's fun.
That's the important bit.
Well, and it's that interesting, I don't want to use the word decline, but
I've been corrupted. Corruption.
what's the Good Omens quote? It's not a fall, it's a slow meander downwards.
No, sauntered slowly downwards or something.
Yeah,
A little slouching toward Bethlehem.
exactly.
Mhm.
I mean, when you start reading, oh, and then it was their first kiss. And then a week later, you're like, oh, so suddenly they're spitting in each other's mouths. There's an escalation involved.
There is an escalation. Sorry, there's a moth that I'm trying to.
Are you gonna fuck it?
Could it be Mothman?
I mean, I wouldn't want to fuck it anyway, even if it was Mothman. Just not into that.
Can we talk about Mothman's features, please?
His claspers?
So for readers, we have to give you a little context. The book is about a throuple of cryptids living in, I want to say, is it New Jersey?
I believe
Yes.
it's New Jersey, yeah.
In a like beach town, but it's like winter. And they're looking for a mate. They discover a mate or potential mate through some kind of, I don't know, pheromone type of shit, maybe.
She's a quote unquote believer, which means she believes in cryptids and gives them power. That's a little unclear to me what exactly a believer is.
Mhm.
And
Right. The whole concept of them needing to be believed in to get power, like that I can buy.
Yes.
yes,
But someone being maybe it's just someone who, for whatever reason. Anyway, point being, there are 3 cryptids. We have the Mothman, which what the fuck is the Mothman anyway? Like in the lore, I've forgotten. It's been so long.
The Mothman is like, he showed up on the East Coast in Pennsylvania. I think that's why he's called Penn in the story, right before disasters. And there was a period of time, I'm going to get it wrong, I want to say like 20 years. And there was a handful of disasters where multiple eyewitnesses said they saw glowing red eyes and this winged silhouette right before terrible things happened. The really like notorious one is there was a huge bridge collapse. And my understanding is that the general consensus is that he was warning you to not get on the bridge. Like Mothman, people aren't actually scared of the Mothman. So I didn't like quite buy that in the story. Maybe I'm too into cryptids. But I think the lore is that he appeared to try to warn people that a disaster was about to happen.
So if you saw a Mothman, your ass was grass.
Basically.
I mean, they do say that part of the reason he's so powerful is because there was like a supernatural episode about him, and there was, and I liked
that was fantastic.
I mean, yeah.
The time they invented a video game.
Yeah, there was a video game, and I didn't get that reference because I'm not as into video games, but
I think they were talking about Fallout. Anyway, maybe I'm too into Mothman.
Okay, so returning to Mothman, so he has these claspers. Looking back, I think that they were referred to earlier in the scene where they were making out in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. Is that right?
Yeah.
She felt something
on
weird
his leg.
Yeah, that scene, I was like, is this just describing his cock, or is there something else in there that we don't know about? Well, surprise.
Foreshadowing.
Okay, so was he the first, or was he after the nodding? When they go from regular fucking to monster fucking, was it nodding first and then Mothman, or was it the other way?
No, I thought Will was first.
Yeah, so okay. Snake Man and then Mothman. And nodding was actually did not happen until quite later.
Okay, so Snake Man stimulates her with his tail, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And what is what's the nodding one? I'm sorry, what's his name? I'm terrible.
The Jersey Devil?
JD.
So JD knots her, and then later Mothman uses the claspers. So these little appendages, like I imagine that kind of as you're fucking, they reach around and like clasp onto the person and like retract to like a seatbelt so that they can't move until a while after the sex is over, which is exactly the same feature as nodding is, right?
Yes, but more like a hug.
But a hug you can't get away from while being fucked.
Yes.
So I had never come across these things before, so I assume that there are many variations on the theme, right? Where you can't get away from them while fucking them because of a special feature of their body. Am I wrong?
I don't know. I mean,
nodding is the classic.
Yeah, nodding is definitely the classic, in part because, at least in fan fiction, the ABO, which is alpha, beta, omega, like, universe is so prevalent these days, and that involves nodding, a lot of nodding.
Would tentacle porn involve a lot of sort of restraints type
Yes.
of things with this dynamic?
It can.
Typically, yes.
Yes.
I can say that with authority.
Because tentacles can both bind you and penetrate you, right? They're very versatile.
Yes.
So I have to admit, when I heard about nodding, I assumed it, for some reason, my mind went to the dick that like flares out and would hurt you if you tried to pull it out.
Yes.
That's more,
Yeah.
That's what it's like in real animals.
Right. So that's what I was picturing. I was like, why would this be a fetish? But then in the story, it just gets much bigger suddenly. And actually, is this the one where it conveniently lodges against like her G-spot when it knocks?
Always. No matter who you're having sex with, it either lodges against the G-spot or the prostate. Yes. Perfectly magically.
These monsters literally evolved to give you pleasure.
Yes.
Yes.
So anyway, I'm so excited to have learned about all this because I mean, I've heard about it all this, like I heard the word nodding every now and then, and I never really knew what it was and almost didn't even care to know what it was. But at some point I was like, what is this nodding you speak of?
It's often paired with like pregnancy fetish or breeding fetish. Like I think you mentioned shows up in the Dogman stories.
Yes. And can I read a quote?
Yes.
I sense that there's this mythology of a primal instinct to be bred or something. I'm going to say mythology, but that informs what I'm seeing in the story a little bit. I'm going to read this quote. This is while she's being nodded by the dog man.
Which story is this?
Fuck, I don't know. It's at
one, 2, 3, or 4.
35%. It's at 35%.
Probably 2.
I don't know. Probably the second one. Second one. Anyway, absolute primal instincts were taking over her orgasm-addled brain, and she felt desperate to make him come inside of her. She thought at him like it was her only desire in the world, breed her. She wanted him to fucking breed her. So I really stuck with the word primal instinct and breed. Like the idea is this wolfman represents some primal instinct. And
well, you're going somewhere very deep with it. There, I think it's also some people got a breeding kink.
Yeah.
And this is the story that appealed to them.
But what does the breeding kink mean?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, not all nodding erotica focuses on that aspect of it. And then some non-nodding erotica focuses on it. So I feel like that's more of a common overlap than a inherent element.
Yeah, they're definitely two separate things that can overlap, but don't always.
Often. I mean, I think that's fair to say. Often overlap.
Well, and the nodding thing, just like the claspers, it forces you to stay connected for an extended period of time. And I wonder if part of that is like, to enhance the closeness, like it's to help form a romantic bond after the fucking, because you can't really separate. And I don't know. What do you think?
I think that's going very deep into it.
I actually agree completely. There are a couple of tropes in romance as a whole, and also erotica, that you kind of see as the ultimate fantasy fulfillment. And it's the 21st century. They're not all as irrelevant anymore, but the aspect of men groveling for forgiveness, I think, is a huge cliched fantasy aspect, because in the 1950s, when did that ever happen?
Wow, good point.
And then that's actually something I've read about in articles. I didn't make that up. I don't get credit. But to your point, Dan, the idea that their actual like physical need is to remain connected and intimate. Connected. You don't get much more of a metaphor, direct metaphor than that. Instead of the cliched, dude rolls over and falls asleep.
I think there's a point there, but I don't think it's always that deep.
Yeah, well, some of it is also just that's a trope now, and people like it.
Yeah, like I think a lot of the times these days, or as often as not these days, you get this nodding trope, and they're playing on like the nodding and not the closeness.
But then there's two different things, right? Why does the author use that trope? Because it's popular. But why is it popular? Because possibly it appeals to that.
Because big dick.
Well, yeah.
It's not just a big dick. Like, I've read big dick stories, and this is not just a big dick story. Obviously, there's not a tiny dick to be found in any of these things, but
Oh, you don't read enough fan fiction. We got that too.
come on over. We got it all.
Yeah.
Oh, and I actually forgot the snaky guy. Oh my God, I love the fact that Nessie was one of the
His uncle?
yes, so great. No, but so the Lake Champlain monster who's called
The Toscock? Nope, it's not Cock. If Cock was in it, I would know.
we go to Vermont every summer, so like I've literally seen like t-shirts and sweatshirts with this monster on it. So like I totally bought that. And I thought the Jersey Devil was very cool as a concept, like this, hipster dude living in a beach town. I thought that was a neat setup.
I was super into JD, the Jersey Devil, when he was first introduced, and then he really took a back seat to the Mothman. And I was surprised. I was not expecting it to go there because JD was described with extreme detail, and then Mothman was just like, yeah, he's handsome.
Felt like he also ended up taking a back seat to Will, the Lake Champlain.
I liked him though. So that was okay.
Will was too nice for me.
What did you like most about him?
Oh, because he was a little sweetie who also maybe was awful. It can be both. Also, do I have to say the tale? Do I have to admit that on recording?
I think that you're safe here.
Yeah, thank you.
If anyone has made it this far into the recording, I think they're not judging.
The tale was the most interesting thing about him. I'll give him that.
Oh, I loved the idea that he used to be a terrifying concept, but then got like Baudelarized over time, and how that affected his interaction with the world around him and why he was more in tune with modern stuff. I thought that was super interesting.
I liked that. He was too nice for me to be into him.
Oh no, I like the softies.
Yeah, this is a personal problem.
Right,
That's not on him.
But why did I like him? Yeah, that was great.
Yeah. And that's why I didn't like him, because he was too nice. He was too soft.
Yes.
Oh, a big problem I had with this book. So the reason why our three suitors are independently wealthy is because Will is good at cryptocurrency. Now, part of me loves it for the pun. The cryptids are good at cryptocurrency.
Oh my God, how did I not fucking see that?
That was like the only thing that made it acceptable, because the rest of it was like, he just made good investments. And I'm like, that's not those bullshit. No, don't pretend that it's possible to be good at it. When did this come out? It must have been at least a year ago.
Right. I think it was that means it was written, a year before that, or maybe 3 weeks before that. Who knows? Probably longer than that. This is this is a legit book. It's not just like some, hastily slapped together thing. It has a lot of thought to the characters and the plot and the dynamics of the relationships. And I loved the monster polycule. I thought they were fucking adorable.
Yes.
And I really, really, really wanted it to work out for all four of them, but not in the way that it did.
Well, I really liked that they addressed also how dynamics would change introducing a fourth person to a relationship. And just because they had figured out the poly thing doesn't mean that it's, perfect and unbreakable. And, we got a little bit of vulnerability, and we saw that they are good at communicating with each other. Not as good as communicating with Desi. So that was a problem. A lot of the book gave me the warm and fuzzies. And so I think maybe that made the times when it was unsettling feel more out of place, because it was so fluffy.
Right. It was romantic. Yeah. Like you were like, this is the way it was set up. Like, this is a romance story. That was how I felt.
Yeah. Like, I feel like that goes into my issue with the dubcon and what I was saying about wanting a dubious consent for the perpetrator to be a villain. And these guys definitely aren't, because it's like, these are the romantic love interests and we're supposed to cheer for them. And we do for a lot of the time, because they are really sweet and compassionate and considerate, except when they're not.
Right. Like the pasta scene, that was so great, where she makes pasta for them. That was adorable.
Yeah, that was cute.
And they all work together in the kitchen.
I know. I was like, oh, this is going to get so fluffy. And then like 15 pages later, she's chained to the fucking bed against her consent, against her will. Oh, man. So let's talk about the explanation they gave. So they're fucking her and everything is going great. They're getting it on and everybody's having a good time. And maybe like she's getting it on with one of them and then two of them are getting it on like next to him. And then what's the first introduction of is it the tail first?
No, so Mothman is going down on her and
Right.
the Jersey Devil is making out with her. And after she comes, she looks up and sees that the Jersey Devil has glowing eyes and horns.
Right. So yeah, that's a moment of
vulnerability.
I still don't understand why they had to chain her to the bed. Help make it make sense.
Their excuse was once she bonds. Now, bonding is not entirely clear what that means. I'm making bad air quotes.
I think it means getting monster dick in you, but maybe there's something more to it.
I think there was supposed to be a spiritual element. Once she bonds, everything will be fine. So we just have to keep her safe until that process is done. There was a lot of like really patronizing. We don't want her to do something crazy. We don't want her to hurt herself. And they kind of get proven right in the narrative because as soon as she runs away, she gets kidnapped, and that sucked.
Yes.
They were right. They should have kept her chained to a bed. That's not great.
My least favorite plot trope is kidnapping. Not to say that kidnapping is always bad, but I don't like the sort of like constant looming threat of sexual violence that often comes along with it. Even if it's not explicit, anyway, but that's a me problem. It's not an anything else problem.
You're allowed to dislike sexual violence. I wouldn't call that a problem.
I think the thing for me about the kidnapping is that we got to that stage and it really felt like the resolution of the book. Mm-hmm. But it was only like 50 or 60% of the way through. So then I was like, well, what else is coming after? And you have all of this, I guess, resolution of the relationships.
Monster fucking.
And monster fucking. But I would have liked to see that spread out a little more evenly, I think, because it felt very like I was honestly expecting that to be the end of the book. And then I looked at my page count and I was like, I still have a bunch of this book left.
Yeah, it's a legitly long book. Like it's a pretty standard novel length, I feel like
almost 300 pages or something.
Yeah. I think if the book had just sort of gone in and just been monster fucking from the get-go and not like gotten me all up in my feels, then I would have felt different about it. But that which also speaks to the quality of the book, which is to say it did get me invested in the characters. I was interested in what happened. It did bother me, when certain things happened, but that's partly only just because I cared. And if I hadn't cared, it probably wouldn't have bothered me as much.
Well, it also would have helped if we all had read the author's note at the very beginning of the book, which is not on the author.
Yes, if this were quote unquote just erotica, which I put in heavy air quotes, then I might care less. But because this really has the feel of a very deeply developed story, which many erotica stories are, it matters more to me.
I think it's fascinating that we get first-person perspective from all of the characters, not just because it's a romance, but because of the dubcon. It's kind of wild that we get the first-person perspective of the people perpetrating dubious consent. That's not something you see every day. And I think maybe that made it extra uncomfortable because you're hearing these characters go, no, this is for a good reason and I'm justified. And you're like, oh, fuck.
Well, that was part of my problem and my whole I want a villain.
Mm-hmm. Well, you could have a villain go, this is justified because I'm a baddie. But that was not what the...
Yeah, but I mean, in that case, you still know they're a villain.
Right.
I feel like the villain didn't have enough character.
Well, isn't that the point? The villain was Slender Man, and he's nothing.
But also, I feel like that's part of the problem with having his storyline essentially be resolved halfway through the book. He doesn't have those extra 100 pages or 150 pages or however many pages it was to like develop his character and make him feel scarier, frankly, like more of a danger to the polycule.
Yes, I did not think he was really going to kill anybody.
Well, he never has. Dove says that. Also, did anyone get that was Casper? I didn't.
What?
At some point, someone calls him Casper. I think he's Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Oh my God. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
I did not, until someone called him that in like one of the last scenes. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, I didn't get that until he was called Casper, but
I thought that was just a joke.
Oh, maybe. I don't think Valentine would have done that to us.
Yeah, I don't know.
I did like his relationship with Desi's roommate, though. I thought that was really cute.
Yeah. I loved it.
Well, I did, but it was a little, I mean, I was a little surprised by how she's like all of a sudden willing to take him in after he was, guilty of helping to kidnap and hold her against her will and all these other things. But
Agreed. I think it's implied. I mean, think it might even outright, she might even outright say that he stopped Silas, the Slender Man, from doing worse things.
Yeah, that's fair.
So while he did help kidnap her, not great. That means maybe a red flag. He was always sort of a gray area villain, right? He
That's true.
didn't
That's
really
true.
want to be doing what he was doing.
And she did make him wait a while, so that's fair.
That's true. They don't jump right into banging the way that
No.
the main relationship does. So I have to ask the question, how is monster fucking different from bestiality? I would argue that it is.
Sentience.
Yeah.
Bestiality, you're fucking an animal. Monster fucking, you're fucking someone with intelligence who just is not human.
Who happens to have a wolf dick.
Who happens
Right.
to have a wolf dick, yeah.
Like you wouldn't fuck an owlbear because that's a beast, but you might fuck, dragonkin.
Bugbear?
I guess you might fuck a bugbear.
They have language.
Yeah,
I'd
that's
say
true.
that's
They do.
the line.
They do. They're actually smarter than in D&D. They're smarter than the average humanoid.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I'm sure that there's a lot of great bugbear fiction written out there already. We just have to look in the right places.
That's a good point. Why didn't we do that for this episode? No, the cryptids was fun. I watched a special on the Jersey Devil when I was far too young, and it gave me nightmares for like a month.
So tell me what you know. It turns out I know shit about cryptids.
The JD in this series or book would have wanted you to be far too scared. So
Yeah, in fact, maybe they're real and they inspired the author to write this book to increase their renown.
To make everyone afraid of them. So the Jersey Devil has a terrible origin story. Some like poor abused wife had so many, like her 13th child came out cursed like 100 years ago on the East Coast, well, the Jersey Shore. And it's supposed to be like she was so mad that her husband knocked her up so much that this bitch cursed her kid. And it's
that's horrible.
Yeah, it's not great. So the child was born with like a goat's head and a snake's tail but also legs and a bat wings, and then it flew around terrorizing people. That's it. That's the whole story that I remember. It's not a good origin story. Mothman's better.
So you've read a whole bunch more monster fucking than I have. So how does this fit in the monster fucking, universe? Is it fairly typical? Like what would you say it has most in common with? Is it?
Well, I think we talked a little bit about how there's a stronger actual romance plotline. That's not necessary for monster fucking. I think it depends on the length of the piece, though. The Stockholm Syndrome concept does show up a lot, which I think is fascinating. And also that dubious consent idea of, I don't want it, maybe I do want it, but I don't want it, but maybe I do want it. Back and forth happens a lot. And then this is kind of like a smorgasbord. You got a lot of different features. So it doesn't matter what your preferred feature is. There's a lot of them there to pick from.
Well, I would hope there would be a lot more out there like this, and that I thought the character work and everything else was really interesting, and there was a lot of fun stuff going on. In addition to there being fun fucking, there was that too, but there was a whole lot more.
I think power dynamic is also a really interesting thing when it's done well, especially when combined with the Stockholm Syndrome plotline. The idea that, one person has entire control over another because they're kidnapped or in a bad situation or whatever. And it's interesting when that changes. If that doesn't change, then it's just, well, okay. That's just the story we're reading.
a lot of my experience has been fan fiction in a very specific like niche.
What kind of monsters are being fucked?
There's some tentacles involved. I mean, it's not the monsters who are being fucked.
Right. Sorry.
But I don't actually read that much monster fucking because I'm not counting ABO as monster fucking.
Isn't that interesting that knotted dicks don't even count as monster fucking? We used the exceptional anatomy as part of our definition, but that's not even like really how it works.
Yeah, I mean, because I don't think ABO is inherently monster fucking, partly because it's too prevalent. I mean, there's so much of it these days.
I think it's just its own genre.
Yeah, it is its own genre that has some overlap, but...
And so what would you call the adjacent genre where with things like vampires or whatever, where it's less beastie? As I feel like there's a lot of maybe it's paranormal romance.
Yeah, I think that's just, I think monster fucking is a subgenre of paranormal romance.
That totally works with this one.
And maybe that's how they should file it under in the bookstore, because clearly these are sold on actual shelves where children might accidentally pick them up.
I mean, I've read some books that were sold on actual shelves where children might pick them up that were less filthy. I mean, more filthy than this. So,
how many tentacles were in them?
Well, no tentacles.
Mm-hmm.
Can you name one of these books?
I mean, I feel like Mists of Avalon has a lot of sex, although it's been a long time since I've read that, to be fair. Shogun has some really bad euphemisms for sex that are much more offensive to my mind than anything we get in quote unquote offensive.
Yes.
Than anything we get in Carnal Cryptids.
The one thing I feel like we didn't talk about very much yet is audience. Like, who is the intended audience for monster fucking, either in fanfic or in paranormal romance erotica?
Oh, women 25 to 55 who own cats and like wine.
Do you really think it is a very specifically female-driven genre in terms of audience?
I do think.
Yeah.
I think erotica is in general. I don't think. I mean, obviously, men read erotica.
Do they read the same erotica? That's my question.
I would love to know the stats on that. I don't know how to find that out.
I'm sure there's some very interesting. I mean, there has to be some really interesting, like, academic articles about that.
Or Reddit threads.
Or Reddit threads. Also, another series with a lot of smut in it that I read at a way too young age. Well, Kushil's Dart, but The Blending by, and I don't remember the author's name, but that has a lot of weird sex in it.
Good or bad? I guess you don't know if you were too young to.
I mean, I thought it was a good series. I haven't reread it, so I can't say how the sex compares, but there was a lot of sex as explicit as what we get in Carnal Cryptids.
Did you know that the state that searches for monster fucking the most is Minnesota?
Interesting.
Get it?
Sorry, I got distracted by Google Trends. I was trying to see if it would give me this search data by gender, but there's not enough data to give us that.
I mean, I think the same could be said for romance. It's a primarily female readership, but certainly with its subgenres. My other question was going to be, so I assume there must be other books like this. I mean, other books like this, that's kind of a weird thing to say about any book, but other books that feature monster erotica. If there's, like, the fact that it was 3 male characters almost feeds into the MM genre, even though it's really MMF in a way. And that the readership often overlaps with romance, but is different. You know what I'm saying? I feel like the audience for MM is often largely female, although not exclusively by any means. And the same maybe is true for romance in general.
That's the impression I have, but I would really hesitate to say that that's true. I mean, it's probably true.
Yeah, I would believe it. That's the impression that I have, but I just don't have enough data to definitively answer one way or another.
Montana is the state with the most searches for knotting.
Maybe some of that is fence related.
Maybe.
Or tree related.
Knotting, not just knots. Erotica is Vermont, in case you're wondering.
Interesting.
Something that we had debated about in our planning for this episode was, when do mermaids count as monster fucking?
Yes. I was asking the question partly because I'd read Sea and Stars trilogy by S.D. Simper, although the female main character, well, they're both female main characters. So there's a mermaid who is captured by I'm not quite sure, maybe is she a human or is she something slightly, she's a bit more than a human. But anyway, I determined that there was not really quite enough monstrousness differential to make it to monster fucking.
I think mermaids are monster fucking when they are like Ursula.
That's tentacles. Is it just
she's
tentacles?
Not a mermaid.
Well, okay.
I think mermaids are monster fucking when they eat people.
Yes.
Okay, that's fair too. I count Ursula as a mermaid because she's under the sea, she's half fish, and she's half person.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying she's not a mermaid.
I wouldn't call her a mermaid.
But so still monster fucking.
Yes, if you fucked Ursula, it would definitely be monster fucking.
Yes.
Or but doesn't the monster have to fuck you? So if Ursula fucked you,
yes,
it would be monster fucking.
And by my definition of mermaid, half fish, half person. I mean, I guess octopi are technically fish, but
half cephalopod,
half sea creature, half person.
So then what is your distinction when you say, if it's like Ursula, what is the trait that makes her a monster?
Villain.
Oh.
I thought you were going to say tentacles.
Yeah, that's why I said that's just tentacles.
No, she's a villain.
Okay.
So is villainy a very common trope in monster fucking then? As in, like, it's
danger.
They're the villain and then you fuck them.
Yeah, I think it's that aspect of danger that Ursula gives off, which you would get if there were mermaids who ate people. So it's not specifically,
which I'm sure there are.
Yeah.
There are absolutely mermaids who eat people. That's the type of mermaid monster fucking I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But then you also get, I don't know. That's why not all werewolf erotica is monster fucking.
Because some of it's paranormal romance.
Yeah.
Like if you're only fucking them in human form.
If they're not shifted or if they're not going to kill you, then it doesn't count.
Would it be a werewolf romance if at some point they didn't have sex when the one was in the wolf form, or is that not a thing?
Wait, there were too many double negatives in that sentence. What?
Is it common in werewolf erotica or werewolf romance for them to eventually have sex when the werewolf one is in the werewolf form?
I wouldn't say common. I would say that that is a thing, but it's separate. Like, saying werewolf love interest does not guarantee that there's going to be wolf dick involved.
Succinctly put.
That's squares and rhombuses is what we've gotten into. Well, Dan, why should you read this book?
Well, you should read the Nodding Bundle if you want 4 nearly identical stories of co-eds being bred by werewolf with a lot of nodding. If you don't mind paying $8 for 4 short stories.
You couldn't even say that with a straight face. I think we killed Dan.
It's the absolute truth.
Why should you read Carnal Cryptids by Vera Valentine?
Because it's a really interesting story with an adorable Tropolem polycule that takes in a 4th, and it has really unusual, to me at least, cryptid stuff, and it's a lot of fun, but you should know going into it that there's some dubcon stuff that might bother you. But I really just think this book was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed it.
It was a good book.
Thank you for indulging us.
I'm so glad that I did, and that you thought of me when you thought of monster fucking. That warmed my heart.
Automatically. No question, no hesitation.
Yeah.
My smut lord's tiny heart grew 3 sizes that day.
Well, now we come to the hardest question on the podcast. Do you got any current projects or recent projects that our listeners should know about?
Well, I have this book coming out in February called The Delve, which technically could be construed as having monster fucking, depending on your definition, in that there are 2 different groups that see each other as monstrous, and there may be some fucking involved between them. But there's also lots of fucking among the various characters. Anyway, there's a lot of fucking and a lot of fighting, and there's a dragon who's really gross, and it's just a wild, crazy thing, and it's coming in February. And then that's the first of a trilogy, the 3rd one of which is I'm calling it fantasy erotica or fantasy romance / erotica because upon rereading it, I know that that's what it is. And the middle one, which is called Wing So Soft, is an absolute straight down the line fantasy romance between an owl handler and an artificer who makes mechanical owls. And it's totally fucking adorable. And I'm very excited to get it out.
Well, I can't wait to read
so
them.
Cute.
It's ridiculously cute, I have to say. And there's other secret things coming, but I can't announce them quite yet.
Very fair.
Several other ones. I have, yes, lots of fun. I'm going to be putting out a lot of books next year.
This is why I couldn't give like titles when I introduced you, because you are just too prolific.
I'm just getting started. I could potentially have 5 books out next year, but more likely it'll be 3 to 4.
Damn, girl.
That's a lot.
It is. Let's just say that it's going to be complicated but interesting.
Well, where can our listeners follow you and stalk you to find out when all of these books come out? Maybe Twitter? Maybe. I mean, I'm Dan Fitz Writes on Twitter. I'm Dan Fitz Writes on Instagram. My website is danfitzwrites.com. And technically, I'm on TikTok at Dan Fitz Writes, which I haven't done much with, but I have this idea for a little smut cave where I would just sit in my unfinished basement and just sort of talk about smut. I love it.
We'll see if that ever happens. Maybe with like a little horn, one of those video effects.
I'm following you right now. How did I not know you have a TikTok?
Because I almost never use it, and I fucking hate TikTok with like every fiber. Like, I don't like video content. I just like to read words and look at pictures. So any app that tries to throw videos at me, I'm like, fuck you.
That's why I haven't gotten on TikTok, and why Lily's the one who does all of our TikTok content.
Yeah, like you open up TikTok and it starts shouting at you, and I'm just like, just shut up for a minute. I'm trying to like enjoy my social media here.
Yes, I agree.
Like at least let me log onto the app and then choose to start the first video. Not like drop my phone because it starts blaring out some fucking song for some big fucking video that I don't even know why it's in my timeline. But I digress.
How do you search on TikTok?
There's a search key?
Not along the bottom.
I don't know, man.
I don't know, because I don't know how TikTok works.
Ooh. Find friends. I found it.
Yay.
Clearly, I'm very good at TikTok.
Oh, and I have some interviews coming up, too. I have an interview. I interviewed Ben Galley, the fantasy author with all the fancy special editions, and that's going to come out soon. And I interviewed Grace Draven, and that's going to come out soon as well. And I'm going to be doing the new Christine the Queen's album, which I'm going to do a little review of that on the blog. That's all on Before We Go blog.
I still haven't listened to that, and I really need to.
It's kind of a mind fuck, to be honest, but it's this weird, it's like a fugue state. It's not so much an album as just, it's like a trip. And I don't know whether you will like it or not, but it's definitely interesting. It's not at all like anything else that he's done. But
interesting.
Anyway, so I've been doing a lot of blogging of late, and those are my next 3.
Awesome.
You're on a roll.
I'm trying. Just having fun.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for this very serious and intellectual conversation.
Thank you very much. It is, as always, a pleasure to see you folks. And I hope that your listeners were not overly turned off by the stupid things we may have said.
I mean, if they've listened to 69 of our episodes or 68 of our episodes, the 69th one is not going to come as any surprise to them.
I'm so excited that it was the 69th episode. It's like a dream.
We had to. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Fiction Fans.
Come disagree with us. We're on Twitter and Instagram at FictionFansPod. You can also email us at fictionfanspod@gmail.com.
If you enjoyed the episode, please rate and review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And follow us wherever your podcasts live.
Thanks again for listening, and may your villains always be defeated. Bye.
Bye.